Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You've brought us a fascinating stack of source material today, pulling us headfirst into a world defined by, by ash, tyranny, and hidden blades. The dying world of Athas.
It really is a brutal place.
And this isn't just a fantasy setting, is it? It feels like a masterclass in political machination, all built on the bones of a dead planet.
It truly is. We're examining a highly detailed narrative, and it's all about these desperate struggles for power and survival. We're really going to focus on how a highly structured society like, one run by the Greek merchant houses can be just utterly destabilized.
By what? By just a few key players.
By the actions of secretive mages and really the destiny of a single individual. It all sort of collapses in on itself.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is straightforward but pretty thrilling. To extract the critical nuggets about the key power players.
Those massive, ruthless merchant houses.
Right, and the clandestine wars being fought by secret magic users, and then the unavoidable, really messy destiny of the man they call the Nomad.
Exactly. We're going to trace the lines of fate connecting gold, ancient prophecy, and this raw, uncontrolled psionic power that just erupts onto the scene.
It sounds like a world where nothing is as it seems.
Oh, absolutely. Even the most opulent displays of beauty are built directly upon immediate, horrific brutality. So to understand it, we need to understand the foundations of that power structure first. Let's unpack this, beginning our journey in the formidable city-state of Sorak.
The opening scene in our sources, it just sets the tone so perfectly. We have this heavily armored lieutenant, Metellus, and he's moving from a scene of just instant carnage right into this pocket of deceptive serenity. He passes through these elaborately carved gates into a wide courtyard, and it's almost shockingly lush for a desert world.
That contrast is essential to understanding Athas. Metellus steps onto these glazed blue and yellow tiles, the colors of the House of Angkor, and he finds this oasis.
An oasis, yeah.
You've got graceful fronds of a pagafa tree shading a large fountain, even hummingbirds flitting around. It's an immediate demonstration of total control over scarcity. They're transforming a desert into a private paradise.
And he's only there because he's just left the merchant plaza where his superior, Captain Varos, was literally eviscerated by a magical energy bolt.
Right.
Metellus had to dip his turban in that fountain water just to wipe the dust and the blood that isn't his own off his face. The peace is only possible because of the violence that sustains it.
And that simple act of washing away the blood, that encapsulates the entire civilization. You have this sudden, horrific violence, a public magical assassination, and it's immediately followed by the cold, necessary ritual of cleaning up so Metellus can re-enter the realm of Angkor's opulence.
The blood is the foundation of the house.
Exactly. It's not just an accident in the street.
And that reality is dominated by powers we really need to define quickly. Our entire narrative, it centers on this struggle between the ruling authorities and the forces trying to save the world.
Correct. The ruling city-states are controlled by what we call the Dragon Kings. These are immensely powerful beings who use a type of magic that, it defiles the environment.
Meaning they are actively engineering a planetary collapse.
Yes. The rulers are literally killing the world. And opposing them are the preservers, those who practice non-defiling magic. They're primarily organized in these secret groups called the Veiled Alliance.
Okay, so we've got the political rulers, the Dragon Kings, and the resistance, the preservers. But there are other forces at play.
Right. You have the economic and political forces, the vast merchant houses who are often pawns or, sometimes allies of the Dragon Kings. And then you have the assassin groups like the Shadows.
The Shadows.
Yeah.
Ancient elven spies, right?
Yeah, and they serve the highest bidders or powerful masters like the Talon Master of Nibene. They're a wild card.
And then we have our central figures, the ones caught in the middle of all this.
We do. There's Kirin of Draj, the highly respected professional mercenary whose reputation is basically his currency. And then there's Sorak,
the half-breed.
The rare half-breed who's carrying the weight of an ancient elven prophecy, leading him to adopt this mantle of the nomad.
And there's one more group mentioned early on, the Pyrene. What are they?
They're these ancient, incredibly powerful entities. They're almost mythic. Some people think they're saviors, others think they're shapers of the world. They're figures of huge importance who play into the larger destiny of the world.
So our mission today is to follow the threads of Sorak's journey, starting with the intrigue that pulls him into this merchant world.
And eventually towards his confrontation with destiny, yeah. Understanding how the brutality of Athas shapes every single decision he makes.
Let's focus on the heart of that economic power then, the House of Angkor. It is absolutely clear from the source material that these merchant houses are far more than just, logistics company.
Oh, they have to be. Given the scarcity on Athos, they're quasi-military geopolitical forces.
So the House of Angkor,
It's described as one of the largest and most powerful merchant houses. Their headquarters in Ultaruk is a statement of dominance, a sprawling, four-story adobe mansion. Every detail, every piece of furnishing just screams of immense multi-regional wealth.
wealth that's derived from a vast trading empire across the entire known world.
Exactly. And you can see their control over rare resources everywhere. The walls are tan stucco, artfully textured. The windows are bordered with their blue and yellow glazed ceramic tile.
But inside, that wealth it's almost weaponized. Expensive Dragian rugs, heavy wrought iron braziers from Iraq, and furniture crafted from this elaborately carved Agafari wood.
And that's the key. Agafari wood and obsidian, you don't just find those lying around in a desert. They signal not just money, but the ability to control supply lines stretching hundreds, maybe thousands of miles.
Which would require armies of guards to secure them.
Right, this is resource control elevated to an art form.
And the man controlling that empire is Lord Angkor, the younger, since his father, the patriarch, is now infirm.
The younger Angkor is described as handsome in his early 30s, deeply tanned. He sounds like a shrewd businessman focused entirely on maximizing profit and maintaining his house's prestige.
The quintessential Athasian aristocrat.
Absolutely. He will reward success magnanimously, but he has zero tolerance for failure. And this ruthless pragmatism is what allows him to immediately pivot when the riot and the murder of Captain Varos occur. He doesn't mourn, he calculates.
Which brings us right back to the catalyst. The Merchant Plaza attack. Machillis confirms the riot was a diversion, right?
Yes, likely set by the people who actually killed Varos. The scene confirms it was magical. Machillis recalls that blinding flash of blue light, followed by the unmistakable heavy, low whump of thaumaturgic energy bolts.
And the description of Varos, it's gruesome. He's literally eviscerated a gaping blackened hole where his chest used to be. That just screams of overwhelming magical power.
It's a perfect indicator of the secret war being waged. And Machillis, as he's pushing through the smoke, he glimpses the perpetrators, several white-robed figures.
And he immediately assumes they are the Veiled Alliance.
Right, which is the crucial point where Angkor interjects and you see his political mind at work. He immediately dismisses the idea that his guard was the primary target.
Why?
He points out that the Veiled Alliance, the Preservers, are philosophically non-political. They have nothing to gain by attacking merchants who are, just a means to an end for the Dragon Kings.
So what's his conclusion?
He concludes it was a clash between the Veiled Alliance and their enemies, the Defilers, and that Varos was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's a fascinating bit of political spin.
It is. And that assessment, whether it's true or not, allows him to immediately enact a personnel change, hiring a stronger, more expensive replacement while publicly downplaying the involvement of these powerful magic users.
He minimizes the political risk while maximizing the opportunity to improve his own security.
And further, his rivalry with the House of Jomri, that's the strategic insight you need to have. Power in Athas is transactional. Even tragedy has to be monetized.
Okay, let's unpack this shadow war a bit further because it's the backdrop to everything. Preservers and Defilers. The Preservers, the ones in the Veiled Alliance, are practicing magic that doesn't drain the life from the world.
Right. They are, in a very real sense, trying to save the planet.
And that makes them the ultimate political threat, doesn't it? Regardless of their non-political stance.
It makes them an existential threat to the rulers. They are fighting a war against the Defilers, the magic users who do drain the planet's vitality. And to be exposed as a member of the Veiled Alliance means certain death.
Because the Defilers are the minions of the Dragon Kings who rule the city-states.
Exactly. The rulers are using magic to destroy the world to maintain their power, while the Preservers are trying to reverse a civilizational collapse.
So their organizational structure must be vital for survival.
It's everything. The need for secrecy dictates their cellular structure. The alliance is divided into small, highly secure cells, and crucially, each cell knows only two others on its same level and one above it.
That's not for efficiency.
No, it's a structure built for extreme damage control and, frankly, pervasive paranoia. If one cell is compromised, only a handful of others are at risk.
But structurally sound or not, we learn they are fighting a losing battle.
They are. The Dragon Kings and their defiler magic are slowly, relentlessly consuming the planet's resources, accelerating the conversion of Athas into a dying world.
That's the core tragedy of the setting, isn't it? It's an unsustainable system enforced by tyranny.
It is. The rulers are literally destroying the world for their personal power, and the preservers are fighting a war against entropy itself. Meanwhile, Angkor, standing on his blue and yellow tiles, seems utterly detached. He just sees this conflict as an inconvenience.
An inconvenience that provides cover for his own economic intrigue.
And justifies a very, very expensive hire.
That ruthlessness on display in the marketplace perfectly sets up the kind of mercenary required for Angkor's deeper schemes. He brings in Kirin of Draj. And this isn't just a good soldier, this is a living legend.
Kirin is a veteran campaigner, distinguished in war across countless conflicts. But what makes him legendary isn't just his martial skill, it's the fact that he achieved the dream of every mercenary.
Which is?
To retire wealthy and safe. And he'd do it before his 40th birthday. He is professionalism personified, operating by an ironclad code of reputation.
So his new role is ostensibly as captain of the Angkor House Guard, replacing Varos. But we immediately see there's a deeper intrigue.
We do. Angkor tells Metellus that Kirin is actually replacing the guard captain for the House of Jamri, their new trading partner.
A layered deception right from the start.
A very layered deception. Angkor tells his minister, Leonis, that hiring Kirin, despite what he calls ridiculous financial demands, is intended as a gesture to ingratiate myself with him, meaning Lord Jamri.
So why were the demands so high?
Because Kirin had absolutely no wish to come out of retirement to guard a merchant house. He was done.
And this is where we get a crucial insight into the mercenary code of Athas. Angkor had to accept those terms.
Knowing that, once stated, Kirin was obligated to accept or risk besmirching a reputation he lives and dies by.
So this transaction isn't just about money.
No, it's a strategic use of the social contract. Angkor understood that Kirin's only non-monetary commodity is his honor and his reputation. By forcing him to accept these ludicrous terms under the guise of a prestige offer, Angkor binds Kirin into his scheme.
He makes Kirin an incredibly expensive but politically locked-in asset.
Exactly. And Kirin understands this too. You see his value immediately in his complete and utter professionalism. He's not just a superb fighter, he's a skilled linguist.
Fluent in Elvish, Dwarven, some Halfling.
Right, because he recognizes that knowledge of languages is a great benefit in my trade. He's also a keen judge of character, valuing men like Sorak for their intelligence and thoughtfulness over mere tenure.
And crucially, he anticipates his appointment won't last more than a year.
He knows he's been hired for a short-term, high-intensity scheme. He's a high-value pawn, but he accepts it because the pay is good and the reputation boost is undeniable.
He's the professional soldier who understands the game, which leads him straight to Sorak. So let's shift our focus to the man at the center of the prophecy. Sorak is defined by a unique and very rare heritage.
Sorak is an elfling, a rare half-breed born of a forbidden union between a halfling and an elf. And this is intentionally contrasted with the more common half-elves who are part human.
This dual heritage made of an outcast.
An outcast, yeah. Even among the psionic warrior priestesses of the Velici who raised him.
And what defines his life early on is not just his bloodline, but the condition of his mind. He was known as the Tribe of One.
Which is a fascinating concept. He harbored a dozen distinct warring personalities. The Guardian, the Stoic Ranger, the brash Kivara, the gentle Lyric. This fragmented mind was only understood by the Velici.
So what changed?
The change occurs later, and it's tied to his destiny and an empowering act related to the sage, who is rumored to be his grandfather. All these disparate personalities join with the sage, healing his fragmented mind and unifying his consciousness.
That sounds like a moment of triumph, his greatest personal growth.
It is, but it comes at a profound psychological cost. Here's where the insight lies. While this act heals him and moves him forward on his path, it leaves him feeling more alone than he had ever felt before.
He struggles with the absence of his inner tribe.
Profoundly, he can't sleep because his mind is relentlessly active, just trying to fill the void. He gained the singular power, but he paid for it with crushing existential loneliness.
It's the psychological price of becoming a singular figure of destiny.
And tied directly to this transformation is the physical symbol of his fate. The broken blade, Galdra.
Galdra. This was the legendary enchanted blade of elven kings, right? Originally entrusted by a Pyrene to the High Mistress.
It was. Its magic was such that it could cut through anything and other blades would shatter upon contact with its elven steel. It was the ultimate weapon of the Preserver movement.
But the enchantment was brutally broken.
By a defiler, Valsavis, champion of the Shadow King. He touched it, and the resulting magical explosion shattered the blade, leaving only the hilt and about a foot of broken steel, etched with the runes for strong in spirit.
And Sorak sees it as useless, a burden, a symbol of a failed past.
He tries to discard it, tossing it into a deep oasis pool, hoping to leave that destiny behind. But shortly thereafter, it magically returns to his belt, sparkling with a faint blue eldritch light.
It symbolizes an unavoidable destiny. He is stuck with the weighty baggage of a prophecy he doesn't want and a broken tool that will not leave him.
The irony is just. It's perfect. The ultimate weapon of the Preservers was shattered by a defiler, and now the symbol of that failure is mysteriously bound to the Nomad.
While Sorak is struggling with the weight of that destiny, Angkor and the forces of the Shadow King are setting their own plans into motion, and they're using some of the most specialized, dangerous players in this desolate world.
First, we need to understand the source of the high-level conspiracy, Lavanna. She is a senior Templar of the Shadow King, Nibene.
She's described as exceptionally old, almost 200 years old thanks to magic.
Right. And that longevity speaks to her importance and her isolation. She deals exclusively in palace intrigue, commanding respect and fear, yet she's described as lonely and isolated.
Her life is extended through magic, probably defiling magic given her role, and that likely distances her from ordinary human connection. She's the political operator, the puppet master, cold and purely pragmatic.
And her ultimate weapon is Ka.
Ka. This is where the sheer brutality of Athasian civilization is really highlighted.
It really is. Ka is a female mole gladiator, a highly rare artificial crossbreed of humans and dwarves. Moles are naturally sterile, which means they have to be bred, and the process is traumatic and inherently deadly.
We have to pause here because the engineered cruelty of this is just staggering. The process of creating a mole guarantees the death of the human mother during birth.
It's horrific. Ka isn't just a fighter. She is a walking monument to sacrificial, deliberate cruelty. She's a sentient weapon manufactured for the arena.
And she's described as mute, 6.5 feet tall, coppery golden-skinned, and immensely powerful.
She fights with the savagery of a predatory beast, exulting in the kill. And Angkor bought her at 10 times her worth from the Balik Arena Masters, seeing her not just as security, but as a dangerous, status-conferring pet, a sign of his immense wealth and power.
So the core of Angkor's plot relies on Lavanna's magic.
Yes. She uses a powerful teleportation spell to secretly bring Ka all the way from Balik to Ultaruk. And this wasn't easy. It required extensive preparation, including obtaining samples of Ka's skin and hair to direct the spell precisely.
The secrecy is paramount.
It is. Angkor plans to use Ka's assassination spree targeting Jamri's network under the guise of a nomad's attack to humiliate his rival, Lord Jamri.
Before ultimately sacrificing Ka.
Exactly. To maintain his own plausible deniability, Ka is meant to be a disposable, temporary instrument of terror.
This mole weapon is precisely the death across the desert that Sorak is subconsciously warned about. So let's look at Sorak's rapidly developing abilities, which put him on a collision course with Ka.
Sorak is accompanied by Rayana, his closest companion. She is a Velichi, a psionic warrior priestess, recognizable by her albino features, who devoted herself to the way of the Druid.
And she broke her sacred convent vows just to follow Sorak into the desert. That speaks volumes about her loyalty.
It really does. And her presence is vital because she is the first to recognize the bizarre changes happening to Sorak's mind. He suddenly experiences what she calls the uncontrolled sight.
A violent psionic jolt that leaves his head aching and his vision blurring.
He describes it as being transported to another place, where he sees a man being murdered in an unfamiliar town. And Rayana, drawing on her extensive Velichi knowledge, suggests this might be a residual effect of his recent mental transformation.
A new, uncontrolled talent emerging now that his fragmented mind has been healed and unified.
He is suddenly open to psychic connections he didn't even know existed.
And the power escalates drastically. Later, Sorak experiences another vision, but this time, he's seeing through the killer's eyes.
He is fully immersed in the experience. He's feeling Ka's powerful size, her singular focus, her predatory simplicity, and the cold thrill of anticipation she feels during the kill.
That intimate vision establishes the mind link to Ka, the mole gladiator.
And this link will prove critical as it eventually allows Sorak to command her will. He essentially hijacks Angkor's ultimate weapon. He screams inwardly, "I am the master now," forcing her to release a captive and completely derailing Angkor's meticulously planned assassination spree.
So Angkor sought to use raw, engineered violence to destroy his rivals.
But the psionic backlash links that weapon directly to the one man destined to bring him down. The professional schemes of the merchant houses are no match for the spontaneous birth of psionic destiny.
Before Sorak reaches Ultaruk, he has to survive the long, complex journey on the caravan route, which the sources detail exhaustively. This gives us a deep look at the specialized logistics of Athasian commerce.
Life on the caravan route is dictated by extreme environment and extreme security risks. We are following the route toward the estuary of the Forked Tongue near Leto Island.
That's the island that's constantly plagued by giants who are tearing down a dwarfen causeway.
Right. Even minor civil engineering projects are a constant low-level conflict against the environment and its native inhabitants.
And the logistics of the Jamri caravan reflect a careful economic trade-off. They use kank beetles,
Which are docile, reliable, and excellent for fast travel. But they are vulnerable and prone to forming defensive hives. The alternative is the slow, agonizing journey via mechalots.
That's the key difference. Mechalots are huge 6-ton lizards that pull nearly impregnable armored wagons, but they are incredibly slow, and the interior is hot, dark, and cramped.
So kanks offer speed but vulnerability, necessitating a much larger, more effective mercenary force. The merchant house is prioritizing speed, and thus profit turnover, over absolute security. That choice defines their operational risk.
To mitigate that risk, the caravan uses a complex formation built around the kanks.
Sterile brood queens for the actual cargo, which young soldier kanks instinctively protect, and faster Krodlu used by the outriders for rapid scatting. Kieran notes that the caravan captain is doing an outstanding job, maintaining a tight 5 abreast formation for immediate defensive grouping.
This is applied military science in action.
Absolutely. A vital yet incredibly dangerous stop on this route is Grak's Pool. It's the only reliable water stop between South Ladopolis and Ultaruk, and it's controlled by a mud brick fortress run by Grak, a massive half-elf.
Grak doesn't hire his men or pay them in the traditional sense.
No, instead he runs a haven, offering free accommodations of a rough sort to mercenaries, outlaws, and anyone passing through, provided they strictly accept his authority. This creates a dangerous, high-risk environment.
So Kieran advises Sorak and Rayana to leave their valuables in the captain's tent for security.
It's just smart, and this lawless hub is also where we encounter the pivotal character of Edric the Bard, who embodies the deceptive nature of the Shadow War.
Edric is presented publicly as this effete, somewhat limp-wristed musician, singing the Song of Alaron, the elven prophecy to Cricket, the beautiful half-elf dancer he is attracted to.
But this is all a beautifully constructed ruse. It's an absolute masterclass in espionage. Edric's true identity is that of a shadow.
One of the ancient, secret, and deadly elven tribe specializing in espionage and assassination.
Working directly for the Talon Master, he uses his bard persona and Cricket as perfect cover for his intelligence gathering within the caravan.
Think about the depth of this tradecraft.
Oh, it's brilliant. A known public figure like Edric meets furtively with a black-clad shadow operative at the least secure place possible, Grak's Pool, a haven for outlaws where a clandestine meeting would blend right in.
And what does he confirm?
He confirms the details of the impending raid. And crucially, he reveals Sorak's presence and the suspicion that Sorak might be carrying the lost treasure of Bodak.
This single meeting confirms the convergence of mercenary logistics, prophecy, and espionage. Edric's intelligence gathering leads directly to the ambush near the estuary mountains.
But Sorak's sight acts as their alarm system, warning him of the impending shadow raid planned for that night. He had seen the black-clad figures, the black arrows, the unmistakable trademarks of the shadows.
So Kieran, applying his immense military acumen, immediately takes the threat seriously.
He does. He knows the shadows would see their camp, nestled between the estuary and the mountains, as a perfect killing pocket. So he lays a brilliant trap that showcases his decades of military experience.
What was the trap?
Instead of defending empty tents, Kieran ordered the silent evacuation of passengers and crew through hidden slits in the backs of the tents and behind the large rock outcroppings. The shadows rode in expecting a bloodbath among sleeping targets and instead hit nothing but empty tents and sleeping kanks.
A brilliant maneuver. It not only saved the caravan, but secured a victory that Kieran used to great psychological effect.
Absolutely. He noted it would grant every man who fought a significant reputation for surviving an encounter with the shadows, an invaluable commodity in Athas.
Let's discuss the core piece of intrigue driving Edric, the prophecy itself, the legend of the Crown of Elves.
It says that a chieftain's seventh son shall rise, reunite the people, and bring back the elven homeland. It's the ultimate messianic story for a desperate race.
But Edric, the cynical spy, doesn't believe in the prophecy.
No, he only sees an opportunity. His theory is highly pragmatic and chillingly Athasian. Sorak is an audacious rascal posing as the Crown of Elves simply to recruit a loyal army of desperate elves.
To what end?
To help him steal and convert the lost treasure of Bodak, the city of the undead on the Great Ivory Plain, into ready assets like merchant bonds, possibly funneling them through the House of Jumri.
And then?
Edric believes Sorak would then disappear with his profits, leaving his duped followers behind to face the consequences.
So this narrative provides the shadow perspective. Sorak is not a savior, but a competitor and a target.
A target whose removal could yield enormous wealth for the Talon Master. It underscores how every major movement in Athas, even a messianic one, is immediately filtered through the cold, transactional lens of profit and competitive intelligence gathering. Prophecy is just another scam, according to the cynical elite.
The journey ends, and the conflict immediately shifts back to the streets of Alteruk, where the consequences of Ankor's intertwined schemes, the Shadows attack, the Jomri plot, and the use of Ka are fully realized.
The first consequence is the gruesome result of Ka's initial assassination run. Metellus, ever the dutiful lieutenant, discovers multiple members of the Veiled Alliance butchered.
Their bodies are mangled and smeared with feces.
A common odor of battle, yes. And the White Alliance veils are left as a calling card.
This is more than just murder, it's a statement meant to terrorize.
It is. But Metellus, despite his revulsion, is astute enough to immediately deduce that the killer is a non-human type, a muli or half-giant, who is being hidden by a confederate. He essentially solves Ankor's mystery through forensic observation.
Meanwhile, Sorak's psionic power reaches its dramatic, decisive peak.
He interrupts Ka during an attack on another Alliance cell, fully connected to her mind. He is seeing and feeling through her eyes, experiencing the unwholesome thrill of anticipation of the kill, but also a cold rage at Ankor's manipulation.
It's a total psychological battle for command.
It is. Ka hears Sorak's command, SOPE, explode within her mind. She fights the inexorable pull, the powerful muscles of her arm trembling as she strains against a sudden external force she cannot comprehend.
But Sorak, now fueled by the singular rage born out of his transformation and the escalating threat, prevails.
He embraces the power, screaming inwardly, "I am the master now," asserting his will. He gains control of Ka's actions, forcing her to release the captive and walk away. Ankor's superweapon is neutralized and turned against him.
However, this victory comes at a terrible personal cost.
A terrible cost. The Shadows, having failed their ambush of the caravan and desperate for revenge, attempt to kill Sorak's allies in Alteruk to reclaim favor with the Talon Master.
And it is Edric, the wounded bard, who personally leads the ambush that results in Rayana's death.
She is stabbed in the stomach, and Sorak watches her die, holding her in his arms as she whispers her final words. "I loved you."
This is the turning point, the point of no return for Sorak.
Absolutely. His ensuing grief and frenzied, tortured cry herald the birth of the near and terrible power within him. He is no longer the conflicted elfling struggling with loneliness. He is now purely focused, embracing the cold rage and complete psionic mastery he inherited through his transformation and solidified through his loss.
The tribe of Wen is truly gone, replaced by a singular deadly intent.
And the reckoning is swift, brutal, and highly personalized. Sorak hunts Edric down at a pleasure house. He demonstrates his newfound psionic mastery immediately, using pure force to disarm Edric, forcing the bard's own knife point toward his face.
He then engages in the final duel, using the broken blade, Guldra,
which now glows with a steady blue aura. He doesn't just kill Edric quickly. He tortures him, showing absolute command and cold, calculated rage. Guldra neatly severs the elf's ear, then repeatedly wounds him.
He even throws the terrified Edric a steel dagger, deeming his sword too quick for the punishment the traitor deserved.
Vicious. And with Rayana avenged, Sorak moves to dismantle the entire scheme, confronting Ankor on the 4-story veranda of his opulent mansion.
Sorak exposes Ankor's elaborate plot involving Ka and the ambush he set up against Shamri, and Kieran the professional faces a choice.
Obey his current assignment, working for Jomri, Ankor's partner, or trust the man who just saved his caravan.
He chooses to trust Sorak's account over Ankor's authority.
prioritizing truth and professional respect over the transactional law. The climax is theatrical and highly symbolic. Angkor tries to retreat, and Kieran moves to apprehend him, upholding the law.
But Sorak intervenes, throwing the broken blade, Geldra. The glowing blue shard strikes Angkor in the shoulder, causing Kieran's sword to drop momentarily in surprise.
And it's during this momentary distraction that Cricket, who followed Sorak, rushes Kieran and shoves him aside. Angkor, seeing his opportunity, is momentarily trapped.
And that is when Sorak the Nomad executes the justice of the dying world.
He shoves Angkor off the 4-story veranda to his death on the blue and yellow tiles below, crushing the magnificent symbol of the House of Angkor beneath the weight of his own hubris and Sorak's terrible new power.
What follows is a remarkable demonstration of professional loyalty. Kieran, despite being disarmed and technically assaulted by Cricket, covers for them both.
He does. He agrees to help Sorak escape Metellus and the Jomri Guard, maintaining that Angkor committed suicide or was killed by the Nomad. He even jokingly allows Cricket to take credit for the push, valuing Sorak's destiny over the messy politics.
This protection secures Sorak's escape, and Kieran solidifies his loyalty by providing Sorak with his father's silver signet ring.
A mercenary's promise of strategic aid 1 year hence at his estate outside Saltview. This is not just a goodbye. It's an acknowledgement of Sorak's new status and power, binding Kieran to the Nomad's cause through honor.
So Sorak is now alone, but he is fully transformed.
He is. He wraps Rihanna's body in oilcloth and straps her to his mount. His quest has ended, but his true solitary path begins. He rides west toward the ringing mountains, embracing his identity as Sorak, the Nomad who walks alone, defined by his power and his immense, terrible grief.
We followed two men defined by reputation and fate. Kieran, the professional mercenary who understands and operates within the rules of the world.
And Sorak, the accidental kingmaker whose ultimate personal loss drove him to fully embrace his psionic destiny.
The entire narrative really highlights how quickly the highly structured world of Athas, ruled by merchant houses and supported by these ancient magical conflicts, can be torn apart.
It can. When prophetic destiny intersects with greed and espionage, it all comes crashing down. Angkor's financial schemes, the Shadow's ruthlessness, and Sorak's devastating transformation all converged in that violent 4-story drop that permanently altered the political landscape of Altaruk.
The destruction of his multifaceted self, the Tribe of One, was traumatic. It left him lonely and uncertain, struggling with his internal silence.
But that pain cleared the way for the birth of a terrifying new, solitary power, one strong enough to control the ultimate engineered weapon of his enemies and execute a political coup.
This raises an important question for you, the listener, to consider as Sorak rides west. His destination is the Ringing Mountains, where his grandfather, the Sage, is attempting this complex, decades-long metamorphosis into the Avangian.
A being rumored to be the true savior of Athas.
Sorak's new identity is the Nomad who walks alone, carrying a broken blade that now glows with fierce power. So how long can a solitary existence survive when his every move is a direct, singular threat to the Dragon Kings?
And the fate of a dying world rests upon him.